Hello everyone, this is Grandmaster Damian Lemos here for iChess.net, and welcome to this new video where we'll be talking about deciding your next move. And as you can probably imagine, this is one of the most difficult parts of chess because we cannot rely on tactics or concepts to decide a single move. I mean, sometimes we can, sometimes we cannot. And as you can probably imagine, calculating an entire variation is almost impossible to do. So it basically depends on that position, but we have some tips to make this process easier. For instance, when I see a position, I try selecting candidate moves. I don't want to waste a lot of time on certain moves and then realize they are useless, and suddenly I lost like 20 or more minutes on my clock. So if I choose candidate moves, then the process is already easier. And I also try analyzing forced variations first, like checks, captures, the tactical lines. If you analyze those first, then you realize whether they are working or not. If they are, of course, you play it. If they are not, you can analyze something else, but the process is faster. And I also like paying attention to the practice point of view. And in order to explain this, I chose a game. I think that if I show you a real example, I'll explain better. So that position we have here is Pillsbury against Lasker. White played f4, and as you can see, White is already attacking on the king side. We see moves like this coming, even this plus this, and suddenly he's opening our king side. And, well, his attack as White is pretty straightforward. There's not much he has to calculate. All he has to do is push his pawns up and open our king side. So the decision making is on our side. I mean, as Black, we have to decide our next move. And honestly, we have a lot of playable moves, but deciding which one is best, that could be tough. So we have to take a look at that position, and first I would try selecting candidate moves. And for some reason, I mean, and I'm talking from my point of view, this is the first move I look at, like trying to get rid of the queen, but then I see h6 is hanging, and I don't want to lose a pawn, and by the way, make his kingside opening easier. I don't want to allow this. So in a couple of seconds, I realize this move is not even possible, so it's not even a candidate move. What else? I know he's playing this. I don't see many moves to stop them, this pawn advance. So I'll focus on the queen side. My candidate moves, they have to be on the queen side because our target is there. We know that when our opponent is attacking, we have two approaches. I mean, he attacks, sure. We can either defend or we can counter attack. And talking about initiative, I prefer counter attacking because if I defend, if I take the passive approach, then best case scenario, I'll defend and that's it. But if I counter attack, I'll have the chance of mating him also. I mean, he has this, he opens the king side. Well, I'll try opening the queen side as well. So okay, so far I said one move, and it was this, but this loses the h6 pawn. So Another move I would strongly consider is b5. Yes, I lose a pawn, as you can see. He can take the b5 pawn, but at the same time, I open the b file for my rook, and suddenly I have a lot of threats, so I don't even have to calculate to play b5. I rely on concepts to play this move. I sacrifice a pawn, that doesn't really matter. I mean, material doesn't really matter. What matters is I open the b file, and if he takes, then I have threats. Rook takes bishop. I can even use the b file to capture his knight. So in a flash, I'm creating a lot of counterplay as black. This is what I call making your decision easier. And even if b5 isn't the most accurate move, you're creating threats. We know chess is a practical game, and even if this isn't the best move for that computer, in practice it is tough for white to find the punishment or the best reply. So I would go for this. b5, I have this threat, I try opening the b file. It's like I'm attacking first, before he manages to play this and this. So b5, nice move. Lasker played another move which is quite interesting, and this move is rook a c8. Again, making things simple. Maybe he'll fire on the king side, sure, but I already have chances of sacrificing and opening his king. So again, there's not much we have to calculate here. We're just making our moves easier and straightforward. So rook a c8, we definitely have the idea of sacrificing, and white, he doesn't slow down and he plays this move f5. Again, we have to do the candidate moves thing. Should we move our bishop? This looks reasonable, like to move our bishop and then we think. Or should we sacrifice on c3? Honestly, I like both. Maybe bishop d7 is a bit passive, but it is possible. After all, when he plays f5, he's closing this diagonal. When he plays f5, he's also making his kingside advance more difficult, because now the g5 square, black is controlling it. So maybe leaving the pawn here is better, but we cannot control what our opponent plays. We can control our moves, and after f5, here black takes the aggressive approach. Again, it's not easy to tell which move is the most accurate. We have some positions where telling the best move is impossible, but we know that in practice, this rook takes c3 is probably stronger, because we are attacking and we are getting closer to his king. So okay, here white takes our bishop. He doesn't want to take our rook. I mean, he can, but his king is way too open, and in a lot of cases, even if he keeps on taking our pieces, worst case scenario, we have perpetual checks, and considering his king is way too open, we probably have more than that, so there's no point for white to play this. After rook takes c3, the candidate moves process, or even the practice point of view, this also plays for white. Is it better to take the bishop and leave that rook there, or is it better to take the rook and open our king like this? Sometimes it is much easier than you think. Sometimes it's not about calculating, it's about concepts and following your gut. So black plays rook takes c3. White takes the bishop. He decides to leave his king closed. I like this. And in this position, believe it or not, black doesn't have any threat, any idea to get closer to white's king. As long as his pawn is on b2, it's like his king is safe. Also, he's trying to play bishop d3 next, and his rooks are also helping protecting his king. So we can name a lot of possible moves here, and most of them are related to rook c3. After all, the rook is under attack, so any human being considers moving the rook. Rook c7, rook e3. Now, perhaps leaving the rook there, because we wait for a move like this. So rook fc8 should be another candidate move, but we can forget about this move quickly because we see the f7 pawn hanging, and I think we are taking too many risks here. So again, the selecting move process is easy, and it is fair to say we can move our rook on c3. However, black here, he plays an amazing move. It would take me a long time to see this move, or I have to be inspired. Let's take a look at what he plays. Rook to a3. This move is quite unexpected, but it is great because we have this simple threat, rook takes, and if we take on a2, then we are close to mating him. And basically, once we play this move, we are forcing white to open his king. Again, I don't think this is the result of pure calculation. This is using concepts and realizing that if his king is open, we'll have counterplay. Again, the practice point of view is what really matters. Even if rook a3 is not the best according to the computer, in practice, white has a tough time defending this position. His king is alone and basically no pieces protecting the king. So white checks on f7 first. We'll see that if he takes the rook, the idea is to play queen b6. We check and we also put an eye on d4. Now he has to play king a1. If he goes to the c file, now we get a unique chance to bring the rook with check, and eventually he's going to make a mistake here. Maybe we can see this position beforehand, but analyzing all the possibilities, of this position, here it is tough, or maybe impossible. So the thing is, even if we imagine this position, king c2, rook c8, suppose, king d2, queen takes d4, by experience, if we played enough chess, we'll realize that in this position, we have a strong attack and we are likely to be good here. And apart from pure calculations, we also know another concept that when we attack, having opposite color bishops, this is great for the attacking side. Why? Because white, he doesn't have the dark squares bishop to counter our bishop f6. So dark squares wise, white is in terrible shape. He can only protect his king on light squares. So for instance, if he plays something like bishop d3, we can try queen f2, we can try bishop here, queen c3. We have all sorts of ideas. And if you're used to doing tactics, you can probably imagine sacrifices like rook c2 check. The bishop is under a pin, he cannot play bishop takes rook, and if this, well, queen b2 is already made, but maybe you saw queen c3 and this is also working, king b1, and then we mate him on b2. So in this game, I just wanted to show you this position because I think it is a great example of practical play, practical decisions, making your decisions easy and your opponent's decisions tough. Uh, as I was saying, if he takes queen b6, well, if he plays king c2, we play rook c8, and if this, we have at least bishop takes d4. Now rook takes is the only move. Here we have all sorts of checks. We probably have perpetual checks everywhere, but even if we play a simple move like this, we are down a piece, but considering his king is too weak and white has no development, we know this is likely to be winning. So for taking decisions, it's not all about calculating, it's about concepts, instincts, it's a lot of things together. And the more you play, the more you study, the more you analyze, you will also develop this skill. So you can find more information on the link below the video. You'll have a nice article to analyze. And well, I hope the example I found was useful. I hope you could learn something. And of course, I want to see you guys in my next videos. Thank you.